Welcome. Thank you all for taking some time out of your day to join us as we're doing a little information session for the 15th annual First Nations Launch Competition. My name is Rob Cannon. I am a new addition to the Wisconsin Space Grant team. Thrilled to be here, but I've been associated with the competition for quite a few years now. Was on the NASA side and just excited to actually be here and be able to work with all of you a little more in depth as opposed to just showing up sort of at the competition weekend when everything's done. So it'd be nice to see some of the progress the teams are making throughout the year. So as you guys saw, we have the competition announced. It'll be the 26th through 28th. Again, that like final weekend in April, sort of as we always keep it to. And oh no, it feels like it broke everything. All right, let me fix this real quick. We will share a different screen. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. There we go. Gotta love formatting changes between apps. So our full team, we have Christine Bowles on the line with us. She is the Assistant Director of the Wisconsin Space Grant. She's also the FNL Director. We have Connie Engberg. She's our awesome project support. We have Frank Noble also with us today from Wisconsin Tripoli. We're hoping for Mark Apatosawe to join us. He has a schedule conflict, so he's hoping to join us in a little bit. But additionally, and other people that you'll come in contact with during the year. Uh, Kevin Crosby is the director of the Space Grant. You'll see him mainly on launch weekend, and then hopefully you wouldn't have to be speaking with him beforehand. Megan Goller is our accounts assistant. She will help with all reimbursements, travel support, all of those kinds of paperwork kind of things that we're always working through. And then Bob Justice is also a part of the team. He's more of launch weekend extra with our safety reviews, inspections, making sure that all the launches go off as smoothly as possible. We have two NASA individuals, Wendy Lawrence and Teresa Martinez. They're also involved more as project oversight, but just want to make sure you have sort of awareness of their names in case you ever come across them. So, what is First Nations Launch? As you see, a lot of words, but it's first and foremost a competition for tribal colleges, universities, Native American serving non-tribal institutions, and American Indian Science and Engineering Society collegiate chapters. So it's primarily focused for the Native American community first and foremost. So this is a Artemis Student Challenge. So this is seen as a first step kind of competition that would lead into bigger, more challenging engineering challenges, such as student launch. But this still follows all the same design parameters, engineering work that you would encounter in those same competitions. So for this one, we'll have the students design, fabricate, and compete with high power rocketry. We restrict some of the rockets and the design limitations so we can focus each year on a different parameter. This year, we're focusing on payloads. Could be a nice fun one. Well, let's hope this works well.
First Nations launch has been just an amazing opportunity for me.
The whole goal is to design, build, and fly a rocket.
We launched our rocket earlier this day, and it was really exciting.
No matter what team they're on, everyone works together.
The camaraderie that's built among the teammates and the team members, students, advisors, grad students, undergrads.
Launching our rocket for the first time was exciting. I didn't know what to expect, so just watching it up in the sky and being able to hear it was just amazing.
So as we go into it, this is what we're working towards. Launch weekend. Full, nice, exciting weekend. Students have always had nice things to say. We try to make it full, but not overpowering and exhausting. We want the students to be finished this weekend excited and energized, not drained. So as you see, it's pretty full 2 days of April 26th. We'll be doing all of our final checkout of the rockets. We'll be moving into a few breakout sessions as we get them planned. Those have generally been in industry panels. We've had NASA come in and give different talks. So it varies year to year, but it's always a focus on what is going to be the biggest impact for the students to have. And then we cap off the evening with oral presentations from every team. And then on Saturday, weather permitting, we will have a nice sunny launch day at Richard Bong Recreational Area in Kansasville. It's about 20 to 30 minutes away from here. And then we come back to the school for our closing ceremony and banquet. If the weather's not cooperating, then we'll have that Sunday. This year was a little bit wet. We had a light rain shower for about 2 hours or so, but it did clear up for us to be able to successfully launch everyone's rockets. Ah. So for this year, we have 24 NASA-sponsored teams. We have international teams sort of asterisk as there's a unique qualifier there. As our funding comes from NASA, we have a restriction on who may or may not be able to make use of our funds. So we are able to sponsor US teams. And then when it comes to like Canadian teams through the ACES chapters and tribal colleges, it's a little more nuanced. But unfortunately, the teams will have to come up with their own funding to compete. Melanie Howard on the line. She's competed with us for a few years. Very excited to have her potentially bring another team back. But again, any international teams, if you want to reach out, we can try to discuss that a little bit with you and then potentially link you with Melanie for tips and tricks on how to accomplish bringing a team. For the size of teams, we expect it generally to be about 4 to 6 members. We have had teams that are smaller, we've had teams that are bigger, but for the competition parameters, 4 to 6, maybe 8 is generally about the best size for most teams to ensure that everyone is actively working on different parts and not more so sitting around in the background because there's not enough to do. For the Moon and Mars challenges, our notice of intent will be due on the 20th. Proposals and preliminary budget will be due on the 11th. And unfortunately, this one did not have the kickoff meeting. Gateway Challenge is more of a single semester. So that's most of the activity will be happening during the spring as they're doing kit builds. So their notice of intent's due December 18th, and then the proposals due on January 22nd.
However, teams that are considering the Gateway Challenge may submit a notice of intent to compete by the October 20th deadline and for consideration.
And the kickoff meeting is on November 1st.
November 1st for Moon and Mars. It will be January 3rd for Gateway. So as the slides are released, I'll make sure these are updated with that in there. But thank you, Connie and Christine. So to support our students as they come in, as you know, we understand a lot of times teams will cycle students, especially with smaller colleges that may just be 2-year. So to help with the students, make sure that they have that baseline knowledge, we do have a rocket workshop called Launch to Learn. There are 2 different ways to interact, to participate. One will be in person at Carthage College, just in later this year. It's going to be a very busy November. That's November 4th and 5th for the in-person. Virtually is handled in January of next year. We have a little more flexibility to have more participants in that one. But in order to participate in the in-person, you'll need to have a notice of intent supplied beforehand. So I know that would be a little odd for Gateway since deadlines are a little further out, but we would still ask for you to have a notice of intent submitted before you register. But a big thing for that, it ends up being 3 individuals per school. We generally request an advisor, 2 students, like preferably team lead and then an extra student. For the in-person, travel, lodging, and most meals are provided. And all the materials you'll need for the rocket to build it will be supplied. So don't worry about having to come with any prior knowledge. That's what the workshop is for, is to guide you through a full level 1 build. The virtual one, there is ability to have additional people at your site, but in order for that to be facilitated, we would need to request a local mentor, a technical advisor from Tripoli or National Association of Rocketry, to have it on-site person to help guide for any hiccups that any students may encounter. As if we have extremely large groups, it's hard for us to stop and deal with all of them. So now for the important bits that everyone's focused on. Gateway. So for our Gateway Challenge this year, it is a kit build. It is the entry point for the competition. So think of this as if you have a brand new team or are brand new to the competition, this is an easy way to join. So teams would pick one of 3 different rockets, and then they're pretty much going through a standard flight. There's no specific payload challenge associated with this one this year, as it's trying to get the basic knowledge down for your team. So a little snapshot of the 3 different kits that are offered or that we're selecting this year: Iris, Easy Eye 65, and Mystic Buzz. So we will have some extra information available in the handbook on the different kits, some of the parameters, and the big thing, we have pre-selected motors per kit, depending on which one the team selects, for that to fit within the flight profiles we're requiring of the teams. So the Moon Challenge is sort of our medium difficulty. So this one will have a payload challenge component. So this one, they do not have a specific kit design or picked for them. So they will be designing that or picking it out of the components, or if they can find a kit that would work, that'd be welcome. But otherwise, for this one, it is a static payload that we'll be launching. Let's see. And then for the Mars challenge, which is our highest difficulty, which is recommended for any returning school that's been returning for a few years or has a well-developed engineering program, we suggest this one. If it is a fresh team, you are of course welcome to be at the moon level, but at times we would like you guys to challenge your students. Don't just give them an easy out. So for the Mars challenge this year, it's going to be fun. We will have a drone payload. So buying a COTS drone, retrofitting it to fit within the rocket. We will launch it, release it at apogee, and then as it drifts down to a safe altitude, then we'll activate the drone and then pilot it back to a predetermined landing zone. So nice mix of rocketry and drones. There's a lot more involved. We'll have information for all the requirements for FAA requirements, any pilot license that need to be required. That's all available in the handbook. And of course, if you guys do have questions, I know we have a section at the end, but if you have any during, feel free to jump in. It'll make it a little more dynamic. So a small summary, the Moon and Mars projects are judged on their written design reports, the virtual presentations that they'll have at each of the milestones, and including their launch weekend oral presentation, and then how their actual flight performance is. So it all ties to the different milestones that we have: proposal, preliminary design review, critical design review, flight readiness review, and post-launch review. There is always an option if teams would like to do outreach efforts, it's always encouraged. So outreach within the community, we can help design any of those activities or help guide if you're needing any ideas. But that's an extra way to earn bonus points for your team. And of course, there's many parameters that all go into it for the final scores, but as one of many items. Yes?
And I think we just want to, I know we didn't put in the slides, and we'll be talking more about this when we go to the kickoff, but for those who are considering the Gateway Challenge, we are adding some new components into that this year, and that we're going to be giving feedback that will let teams know if they're in a bronze, silver, gold status, meaning how are they meeting the milestones, just trying to help them with project management, et cetera. And then we will be adding a new prize for a select team in the Gateway Challenge. So that was part of the feedback that we received last year from the advisors. So that'll be new this year.
So from what we supply to the teams, as you guys have seen, we have mailed out copies of our posters and postcards. We also sent out some virtual files. So if you guys would like to print any of those, feel free. We have the Launch to Learn rocketry workshop. Teams are awarded up to $4,000 for reimbursement to be put towards their project funds, travel funds to come here. And then depending on how far away a team is from, central time zone, additional travel funds can be applied for to assist with that. Any new schools, two reference books, very helpful resources. And then let's see. Report feedback. We generally will aim for it to be at least 1 week prior to your next report, so it gives you time to actually absorb it, incorporate it, and make any adjustments before your next milestone. Each team will be provided an Estes rocket to be able to do their demo flight. And of course, we provide the casing and a single motor for teams to launch the rocket at the competition. You wouldn't need to worry about bringing them with. It's just making sure you let us know based off of what motor parameters we've provided. Then launch weekend will provide up to 3 rooms per team at a hotel. If you need any extras, that would just be outside of. And then during the weekend, we provide meals on Friday and Saturday. I know that we did have dinner there, but it's more of a heavy hors d'oeuvres during the oral presentations. So depending as teams can move in and out of the rooms, they can nosh on a few things. Scoring breakdown for any returning teams, this should be very familiar. We haven't made any major changes to this. So everything is out of 100 points total, with 10 point up to 10 additional bonus points for outstanding outreach activities. And then all of the due dates for these reports and milestones, they should all be set for Monday's due dates. And then each day that it's late is a 20% deduction and whatever possible points they were earning. So big thing to keep in mind. As you said, the design reports are really to help the teams make sure they understand all of the engineering that's gone into it, all the planning they're putting forth. It helps them understand the process and make sure they're not missing anything. And each of the reports build on the ones before it. So when you're getting up to your flight readiness review, you've already been through 2 other checkpoints and you're building on those reports. So it should be easier as you get through the competition cycle, because you're generally just adding more details and more refinements as we go. All of the, as we were saying, reports or milestones are all due on Mondays, the dates of which are on our calendar. And of course, we have all the templates available. I think there might be 1 or 2 that are being updated still, but they'll be available on the website. Nice full year. And a big thing to point out for any returning teams, we are adding in office hours a bit more heavily this year. So as you'll notice them throughout, we have them set for Thursdays between 10 and 1. But of course, as needed, just reach out to our office and we can always set up additional time with your team if needed. And of course, a big thing for anyone that's going to be at ACES, the ACES conference coming up, we welcome you guys to stop by, see us at the booth. We'll be at booth 1538. I believe that's in the college section. Not too, I don't believe it's too far from where NASA's at, but I have to check the map again. But as you saw, the non-binding notice of intent is due on the October 20th, so that's also during ACES. So just keep that in mind. So it's not too busy a week for you in case any teams are trying to put that in. But that's also a requirement to register for the Launch to Learn, is that we need the NOI submitted. So for the in-person Launch to Learn, that would be on November 4th and 5th, we would need those NOIs due. Actually, I apologize. September 25th is when we need those NOIs in for the registration for Launch to Learn. A little earlier than the official notice of intent due date, but something to keep in mind. Proposals preliminary, early December. Preliminary design review milestone will be in January. CDR will be February. And as we get closer to the competition, FRRs on April 1st. And then we'll be having our fun weekend the end of April. And of course, for our advisors, any new advisors, if you would like, we can help pair you up with veterans. We can help with determining any outreach activities that you may want to work on. There's been multiple, it can be anything as simple as, pulling a NASA activity from their website and conducting it with your local community, or you can design one yourself. So it's as easy or as complex as you would like that to be. But depending on how complex some teams may make it, may skew, what bonus points could be available for outstanding projects. A big requirement is making sure that each team has a NAR or a National Association of Rocketry or EEE Rocketry Association mentor that will be there to help guide your team if they have any questions. So we need every team to have a mentor on record. We can help you locate them. We can help you locate your local chapters and precincts, which is very helpful, especially if you want to do any test flights before you come, because they'll have the launch site active as opposed to you having to try to create your own launch site. That's in some areas very unfeasible. And of course, for next step opportunities, we support one team each to the NASA student launch and NASA Rock On. But of course, any team is welcome to participate in those programs outside of First Nations launch. Spaceport America Cup is another competition that's quite engaging for teams. We don't directly engage with that through FNL, but of course, any rocketry competition is fun. And of course, our website has a plethora of information available, trying to have it as broken down as possible to what information you need or how to find it. And very helpful is we have a series of instructional videos available on the website to play as needed. And of course, all of our old webinars, those are always going to be recorded and posted. That way, anyone that misses one can always go back and check it. Or if you want to check a prior year for any extra information that might have been shared, you're always welcome to. I know it felt like it went through so quickly, but any questions? You guys are a very quiet group. We
I
do
know we
have,
have some folks that have never competed with us before. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're happy to give you more information. One of the things that we didn't talk about was a flexibility to work within the different competitions. So we designed the competition so that if, let's say, you start off in one challenge and you're finding it either too hard or too easy, we make it so that prior to the PDR, we can have you, I think it's PDR, we can have you move up or down in the competition so that the skill set and the knowledge of the team matches the challenge, and then you're not really losing anything because you can easily move into a different challenge.
And Mark looks like he was able to join us in case you guys, if there's any questions specifically about the Lunar Mars challenges. I know Frank is also on the line.
So I did have a question. Our college has not competed in this before, so it'll be our first team. So can see for the workshop, you can sponsor 2 students to attend that, kind of hands-on learning how to build the rockets. And then the competition, you also sponsor 2 students. So we have a team, 4 to 6 students to help pay for that. Could we use some of the travel award money to pay for like hotel expenses and such to bring extra students to the competition?
So for Launch to Learn, which is separate, that's a separate funding, and we pay for the students to travel to Carthage College to attend the virtual, if that's the one that they attend. And if they attend I'm sorry, we pay for them to attend the in-person event at Carthage College, and it's 2 students and an advisor. So, and if the advisor's already done it, in your case, it would not be the case, but if the advisor already has their level 1, 2, or 3 certification, then we could take it up to another student. Our maximum number that we can take is 15 students. So we recommend, so that's just for Launch to Learn, and we typically recommend advisor, team lead, and 1 other individual who might have an interest in being the team lead the next year, or a person of your choice. And then each team will receive $4,000 for the competition, and that can be used for whatever you need. There are some spending limits this year for the for the Moon and the Mars challenges, and those will be outlined in the competition handbook. But yes, you can use that however you need to, that $4,000. It can be used for travel. It can be used for project. Either one is fine. If you want to bring more students, then you can do that. 2 things that you can do is reach out to your space grant and see if they have additional funds that might be able to support you, if you are part of the space grant community. And then the second option would be to fundraise. We do have some teams that bring, we've had, I don't know, Connie, the numbers, but there are some teams that bring a lot of students.
Okay, thanks. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. Other questions? Many of you have done this before. No questions about I'm really excited about this year's challenge.
No questions about the drones?
I have a question about the drones.
Oh, good. Mark's here.
Yes.
My question is there going to be an operator on site who's going to be controlling the drones for the teams, or is that going to be something that the teams are going to have to learn how to do?
You'll have to train your own pilots, Colin.
Okay.
And there'll be support in the handbook and along the way as well to make sure you guys are following the proper procedures and certifications.
Okay, that's excellent. And then I have a follow-up question for that. Do we need to get any kind of AMA, the American Model Academy Association licensing, or that type of thing to fly these drones?
Not so much on launch weekend at Bong, but if you're going to do test flights and stuff like that here in Washington, then yeah, I think the sites here, there's 4 or 5 sites here. They're usually kind of club sites. It's like a park in Redmond.
Yeah.
Kind of prefer to get the AMA, and then you could also use club, resources and benefits. You could talk to them about, get support from them.
Cool. Okay, I'm excited. Those will be fun.
And the other thing that Colin, and it was in one of the slides briefly, I think it was in the Mars challenge one, Rob. So one of the things is there will need to be one individual on your team. As you can see in the second bullet point, the drone payload must descend under drone parachute, and then a trust certified drone pilot will pilot the drone to a predetermined landing zone. So that is something that we are requiring, is that that trust certification happen, and it is a certification through the FAA. And there will be more information about that in the competition handbook. And we'll go over that in the kickoff.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much for the information, Christine.
You are so welcome.
I had a question regarding the drone as well. Other than just going from point A to point B, is there anything else that this drone should be doing?
Not during the launch weekend. So the hardest part, I think, the challenge during the launch weekend will be figuring out how to collapse this drone into so it fits into the rocket. So there'll be rocket space restrictions. Figuring out how to deploy the drone so it locks into a flyable configuration. Figuring out how to deploy a parachute from the drone, so it descends from 2,500 down to 400 feet. Figuring out how to release the parachute from the drone at 400 feet so the drone can fly on its own without getting tangled in the parachute. And then the easiest part is just once it's released, flying that drone to the landing zone. So that's the easy part.
Right.
There's no other flight requirements. We don't require you to fly a pattern or fly through a field or anything like that.
Okay, thank you so much.
And Mark, was there a specific size diameter tube that they can use for a payload?
Yeah, those details will be in the handbook.
All right.
Josh was asking, and Joshua, I don't think I saw in the comments, which school are you from?
I don't know if he's going to comment or respond in the chat.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Joshua. So no, the drone is not going to be provided. That is something that you will have to purchase in Mark. If I'm not mistaken, there is a budget restraint.
And there's a multitude of requirements of what components you can purchase, which components are required, where you can purchase those components from. They're all laid out in the challenge requirements of the handbook. And the overall size of the drone and the weight of the drone is also constrained.
And I am hoping that the handbook will be able to be distributed by the end of the week. And so Rob will be sending that out in an email when it's ready.
Yeah, sorry for the delays on that one. But it's going to be a fun year. So it took a little bit of time to refine how we are going to incorporate the drones in.
And then the other thing is the drone is only for the Mars challenge. The Moon challenge is slightly different. You're still going to air deploy a lander versus a drone. But it's still retractable and has to fit within that, within the space requirements that we have for you.
Unguided under parachutes.
Correct. Any other questions? If not, we'll say thank you everybody for attending. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes. So if you do have a question, we'll be on to answer them for you. We look forward to having everybody in the competition.
Thank
Thank
you
you all for joining.
Actually, I do have some follow-up questions. Sorry, I'm at home with my kids to find some quiet time. But would we be required to design the rocket from scratch for the Mars Challenge?
Yes, pretty much. Because the diameter is it's an 8-inch diameter for the payload.
Right. Okay.
So you're not going to find an 8-inch kit in a dual deploy configuration.
Okay. All right then. And well, are there going to be like material restrictions at all?
There's not currently. So yeah, so you can use whatever, I know there's 8-inch phenolic, 8-inch fiber. There's 8-inch fiberglass, but then that runs into weight restrictions and performance restrictions as well. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying
You
to
could
gather more information. What's
You
that?
could also fabricate. There's no restriction to that if you know how to make carbon fiber layups or fiberglass layups.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, problem.
And
Right,
don't
I
go
believe
don't go by the design of the flight profiles you see. That's just an example. You can
Okay.
make the rocket as tall, you can make it as short, you can make it as fat to get to your altitude that is
Okay.
required. Yep.
All right. And I assume we'd be able to use RockSim to play with those parameters. And
Yep.
all right. I'm just trying to plan this out. I'm still trying to recruit a team. It's pretty much just me at this point.
Yeah, rock subs required.
Okay.
Cindy Woods has a question. Cindy?
Hi there. Glad to be back. This will be our second year. Last year we did the Gateway Challenge. We're, community college, and I don't have returning students from the Gateway team, but the Moon Challenge seems to be like a big difference between Gateway and then jumping into the Moon Challenge. I mean, how feasible do you think it would be? At least now I'm experienced, and our mentor is experienced with working with the team. How doable? I've never built a rocket that has deployed anything. Is that doable, you think, from?
I would say it depends on your team. So it depends on even timing, right? It's a lot of teams, especially the returning guys, are going to be starting like now.
Right.
So if it takes you a month to get just students, then you're a month behind everyone else.
Okay.
So if you get your students quick and you get enough of them, and maybe some of them are good with fabrication, and maybe one is a rocketry experienced person, right? Moon's doable. And if not, at that point you decide, hey, we want to go down to Gateway. You have time to switch down to Gateway as well.
Okay. Because even at all our launches and the big yearly festival thing that we have, I've never seen a rocket deploy anything. And with the rain from last year and everything, if any of the Mars Challenge or Moon Challenge did something similar, we didn't see that happen from where our team was. But okay, well, I'm going to look into that, because if not, we'll just do Gateway.
Research on deployments, things that deploy out of a rocket, high power rocket or model rocket. Just look it up, YouTube it, Google it. There's quite a few other designs out there. You don't have to have, like I say, just an arbitrary design that I have here with an extra dedicated payload just for the drone and the lander. So there's other ways of doing it, and yeah, it's a lot of searching.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, let us know.
Oh, definitely. Now that I know how this thing works. So yeah, we're the team that exploded while we were waiting to go out there, but the team overcame, went back, put it all back together and then had a successful flight. So
Okay, you were there for entertainment. Excellent.
yeah. Poor
Um,
Ayana, but she's gone on to Haskell Indian college, so she's trying to get a team going there. So I'm excited. Hopefully we can get Haskell to participate this year.
I received a note from another from a Kansas university. I can't remember which one, and they said that they believe Haskell is going to have a team this year.
Yes, yes, yay.
So we're excited about that. Yeah, really excited about that. And just so you know, Cindy, we you won't see similar things year to year because we're on a 4-year cycle. So last year it was structures, this year's payload, and then we'll go to a different different focus next year, and then in year 4 different, and then we'll circle back around to structures again.
Okay.
Trying to give students an opportunity in 4 different areas of building a rocket throughout their tenure.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to get to work and see if we can't get our team going much earlier. But yeah, if not, we will definitely be in Gateway. That's for sure. Because I will have cycled through, I guess, 4 different physical science classes. And so I can pull from them by January. So, okay. But yes, I'm very curious, and my interest is definitely peaked on the Moon Challenge and seeing if I can't help students get through that. So, but
that'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Glad to have you, Cindy.
I'm glad to be back.
All right, Fabian or Joshua, do you have any further questions?
No, I just wanted to listen.
Okay.
Same, I was just listening in.
Perfect. Well, thanks, guys, and you guys have a rest of the evening. Good.